This is the conservationist group, and we have been researching the grizzly bears. First is the conservationist goals. The first one is protecting current habitat, expand grizzly's range, and build awareness and appreciation. Important issues: sharp decline in white bark pine and Yellowstone cutthroat trout, increase human-grizzly conflicts, genetics isolation of the bear, instability of grizzly population. Human fatalities graphs by the decade. So you can see that first the bears' fatalities were higher, now they've been getting lower, and in the 70s to 2000 they've been getting higher. In 2010, this decade is still increasing. The grizzly bear population is starting to grow from 87 till now.
These are the challenges. Human-bear interaction. Lots of roads in Yellowstone parks increase chance of human-bear interaction. Reduced food availability due to white bark pine beetle infestation. Climate to global warming causes problem with thinning and hibernation cycle.
Determining the underlying problem. In what ways might we increase natural food supplies for bears while decreasing human-bear interactions?
Solution ideas. Research the effects of white bark pine and decrease the white bark pine beetles. A. Grow domesticated white bark pine. 2. Research different ways to get rid of lake trout. A. Fishing competition. B. Poisoning. C. Introduce new species. And 3. Decrease tourists and decreased camping. 4. Close roads, regulate roads, and decrease number of roads and hikers. 5. Better education of wildlife safety. 6. Research best way for humans to interact with bears. A. Bear spray. B. Bear whistles. 7. Build tunnels and corridors for bears. Fence private property. And provide landowners and sheep owners protection and a place away from the park. 10. Education to increase tolerance for bears. And 11. Relocation for problem bears. A. Canada. B. Alaska.
Generating and selecting criteria. First on the criteria is cost. The second is difficulty of implementing or how long it would take. Third is effectiveness. The fifth is the willingness. And the last one is considers both human-bear interaction and food source. Now, solution overall points is solutions ranked by criteria. The highest one was number 5. The lowest one was number 8. Action plan. What plan will do? The first part is research the safest way for humans to interact with bears, including research on better bear spray, noisemakers such as bells, whistles, and any other safety measures to establish best practice in bear-human interactions. The second part is provide for best education to minimize bear-human interaction. Bears are omnivores and will find different food sources. Human and bear mortality will decrease. The action plan, how it will work. Step 1, taking a totally new look at human-bear interactions. Step 2, we will begin to educate the public. Step 3, help raise money for many wildlife advocate groups. Step 4, the money will go into more research and education. Once the education piece is in place, the Greater Yellowstone Coalition and the other advocacy groups will be able to tackle some issues such as habitat protection and expansion of the grizzly range.
The action plan, while it will solve the underlying problem, we will remove roads, stop road production, decreasing human interactions with bears, removing campsites, which will also decrease tourist and human interactions with grizzly bears. When this does finally take place, the grizzly bears will be forced to move and roam to the backcountry. This will also force the grizzly bears to find a new food source. The bears will adapt and thrive in the environmental area away from humans.
Action plan. Who will be involved? Our plan would provide a unifying approach for hunters, ranchers, game and fish, and wildlife advocates. We will provide the best practice research and will be available to teach many sightings ranging from hunter safety classes and Audubon meetings to sharing at civic organizations such as Rotary and Kiwanis. The Greater Yellowstone Coalition and other groups would be developing a whole new generation bear brigade. Participants that will advocate for better bear safety and more tolerance of the grizzly bear.
Action plan. What actions will be taken? We will establish research arm to our conservationist organization. Once we establish a new generation, the best practice safety procedures, we will then begin offering our service to educate the public. We will build bridges to the hunter, rancher, game, and fish perspective groups. We want to increase the membership by 500% and our funds by the level. Also, so we can begin accomplishing more of our goals to improve habitat and increase grizzly range.
Driving question. How can we increase the food supply and tolerance of bears while keeping both humans and bears safe? This relates to the driving question because it keeps in mind the safety of bears and humans alike by teaching children bear safety early on and improving bear sprays and whistles for further distribution, forcing them over time to search for a new food source. We also have a bibliography and sources cited and also a summary